Welcome to the Live Explore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.
I'm here with Pat Crabtree, the unofficial ambassador for Petaluma Pickleball. But first, I want to give you a little history. Pickleball was created in 1965 by the three dads, Congressman Joel Pritchard, Barney McCallum, and Bill Bell. 1984, the United States Amateur Pickleball Association was organized. By 1990, it was played in all 50 states. The beginning of 2021, they had 50,000 in the membership. By the end, it was 53,000. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you, Alan. Glad to be here.
How did pickleball get so big?
It's a great story and an interesting journey, actually. Let me go back there just a bit. You know, your introduction, you had talked about those three men that started this thing, which was great. They were vacationing, on Bainbridge Island, and they just happened to have a badminton court sitting there on the property, and the kids were bored, and so they got a piece of plywood and fashioned a couple of paddles out of it, got a wiffle ball and started hitting it back and forth and created the game of pickleball. So that's where it actually started. And then actually it was Barney McCallum who kind of took it mainstream. When he went back home to the mainland, he actually built a pickleball court in his backyard and got all the neighbors involved, and it kind of evolved from there. But that was the general gist of it. Probably get to this, but the name pickleball is kind of interesting, and that when the kids were playing, they had a dog. Its name was Pickle. And the dog used to chase the ball around, so the kids called it pickleball.
Oh, my God,
that's interesting. So that's one of the stories, and I like that one best, actually.
That's a great story. I mean, it's like maybe 2019, 2020, I heard of pickleball.
Right.
I mean, I was at the tennis courts, and I hear the clack, 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 right, and wonder what the heck that is.
Yeah.
And so, but it'd been around for so long.
It really had, and that's very interesting. And you mentioned the development of the USAPA, the United States. At that time, it was called the United States Amateur Pickleball Association, and that was developed in 1984. And they're actually the people that developed the national governing body for the rules of pickleball and the rankings that were associated with people who played tournaments. People needed rankings like in tennis,
right.
A 3.0, a 3.5. And so they're the ones that started that, the national governing body, of it. You mentioned the number of players that are playing now in all 50 states. I think that number probably was the number of members of USA
Correct.
Pickleball.
Correct.
It's not actually the number of players. The number of players are now about 4.8 million. And it's, we can get to this a little later, but it actually has grown over the past couple of years by about 39% throughout the United States. And it's also international. The IFP, the International Federation of Pickleball, was founded in 2010, whose mission it is to promote pickleball throughout the world.
Wow.
And currently, they have about 60 countries playing pickleball, and their objective is to have it become an Olympic sport in the future.
Well, with the growth, I mean,
Yeah.
39%, it's bound to become an Olympic sport with that type of growth, if it can sustain that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of the obstacles, and you probably know this as well as anybody, shortage of courts.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And there's probably a fight between tennis players and pickleball players.
It's been going on
right?
for a while now.
Right?
Yes.
So
Sure.
how's that go? If you show up with one of these and you call it a racket, they'll know you came from tennis.
That's really true. Very true.
So what's the demographic here in Petaluma? I mean,
let me go back to touch on your original question before I got sidelined a little bit. How did it get so big? I mean, it really did start from the seniors. I think like myself, the baby boomers who were starting to retire and go into communities and looking for, activities. I mean, they were people that, were active and they wanted to stay active. And so they started playing pickleball, as you know, as you just said, it started in 1965 and then has grown. And Arizona and Florida and all of the other states that a lot of people migrated to, they built these communities and started playing pickleball. And then the kids would come and join the parents for a while, and they would play it, and then they'd take it home to their kids, and now there's money in the game. I mean, the average age used to be around 49 years of age of players. It's now down to 34 years of age. Wow. There's a lot of young people coming into this sport, a lot of them from tennis, but many from any other backgrounds, ping pong. Some haven't even played the sport before. They came from hockey or wherever, and they're finding pickleball is just an incredible sport for many reasons. It's social, it's fun, it's fairly inexpensive. The cost of a paddle and a ball and some tennis shoes. Right. And you can go find a court to play pickleball in any of the 50 states that we have.
Chris Rosales told me that he was a tennis player and a baseball player, and I played both baseball and tennis with him. But he called it a great transition sport.
Yes.
And he also talked about the age drop, so the competitiveness of it has increased, and also there's money.
Yes.
Right. So this is a great sport for not just older, but for younger. Yeah. But the real burning question here is, who came up with the name The Kitchen?
That's a good question. I don't actually have an answer for it. I know as I've played over the years, I've talked to, I've called it The Kitchen. It's actually known as the No Volley Zone officially. But I know a lot of women, telling me, you don't have to tell me to stay out of the kitchen, type of thing. But I don't officially know. I don't know where that term came from, but yeah. That's
interesting. I think that's funny. So here in Petaluma, there's a Petaluma Pickleball group on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the demographic? I know you talked about pickleball and, the age dropping from 49 down into the 30s.
Yeah.
But here in Petaluma, what's the demographic like?
I've really seen it. I've been playing for quite a long time, about 13 years, and brought it to Petaluma about 11 years ago. And we started off with my age group, the 50s to above group, and some 40s that came in, and then others, like I said, caught on. The older people, the seniors, their kids were starting to see that parents are having a good time over there. I want to get involved. And then their kids were starting to play it. So it's a multi-generational sport. So I've seen the demographic change tremendously over the past several years. From during the week, you're still going to see the retired folks out there or people who have off-hour jobs, playing during the daytime. Weekends are very popular. You're going to get the moms and the kids out there, or the dads, and the younger people, the working people in town. But you'll see a tremendous mix of all ages, truly.
Okay. So I've played like one time. Okay, I didn't really play. I just kind of practiced. Yeah. Okay, you've played for a number of years.
Right.
How would you answer? Like, is this sport hard on the body? Tennis people talk about the knees, the hips, right? Because how would you rate this sport?
It's an athletic sport. Okay. You need to move sideways and forward and backwards. You need to be able to bend down and raise your arms up above your head to hit an overhead. But overall, the equipment is much lighter than, say, a tennis racket. And so the impact on your joints is a lot less. So it's definitely not as physical on your joints and so forth as tennis, but it's still an athletic sport.
Okay.
I mean, you have to bend your knees and you have to be able to move left and right. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
How many people do you think play here in Petaluma? Just like taking, for example, maybe your group.
Sure. My group is wide ranging because I play a number of times a week, but we get 20 people out there. We have 4 courts, so only 16 people, if you're playing doubles, can be on the courts at one time. So we get 20 to 24 people out there, some waiting to get on to play. That's not every day, but weekends and evenings are becoming very popular for the working people who come out after work and want to play. All ages come out. I would just be guessing, but a couple of hundred for sure.
How many are members of your Facebook page, Petaluma Pickleball? Do you know that?
We have a total of 530 some members at the moment. Not all of them are local, because people are just interested because they might come into town sometimes, or they live up in Santa Rosa or Marin, and they will come in and play occasionally. So they want to keep in touch. Other Facebook pages are the Rohnert Park has a Facebook, Rohnert Park Pickleball, and also Sonoma County Pickleball has up for Santa Rosa. So there's a number of Facebook pages for those individual groups, and some of them intermix between them because they want to keep in touch with what's going on in those communities as well.
Okay, so places to play. Let's start with Petaluma first, and then Rohnert Park, and then go to Santa Rosa.
Sure.
All right, and maybe even if you can touch on Sonoma, but just try to get an idea.
Yeah.
Where do we play here in town?
In town, we have one dedicated pickleball, 4 courts in Lucchese Park at the tennis courts. Last year, we were able, through the Proposition M money, and working with the city, we converted one of those 4 tennis courts to 4 pickleball courts.
Nice.
So that's the only place of dedicated pickleball courts. McNear has 2 tennis courts, and they are lined for pickleball, and you can play over the tennis net. And those are the only 2 venues.
But so the tennis net, that's a point, right? The pickleball net is what, lower?
The pickleball net is 2 inches lower than a tennis net.
Okay. So that's relevant then?
Yes.
Okay.
But they have a strap in the middle, and you can lower it down 2 inches. It's not going to be perfect, but it works.
But okay. And then what about Rohnert Park?
Rohnert Park is one of the best venues now because just a year or so ago, they have 6 dedicated pickleball courts. There's 2 tennis courts adjoining those courts, and they've lined them for pickleball so they can roll out portable pickleball nets and create 12 courts. And they're very popular. They always have 30, 40 people there regularly on a daily basis. Yeah.
What about Santa Rosa?
Santa Rosa they initiated pickleball courts in Sonoma County. Back in 2013 or 15, I believe it is, they built 4, converted a tennis court, like we did here in Petaluma, to 4 pickleball courts at Finley Park off of College Avenue.
Okay.
They have since lined the adjacent tennis courts and used portable nets because they were getting 45 to 50 people a day waiting to play pickleball in the morning.
Wow.
And so we went to the city. I was actually part of that committee, proposed to the city that they line those courts and they can now utilize the tennis courts when they're not in use, which is mostly during the week. And then they give them up on the weekends for tennis players.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they also have one other venue at Howarth Park, 4 courts.
Okay. Anything in the city of Sonoma?
Sonoma itself, I've heard, has some courts that are in pretty bad shape. I think they're tennis courts.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know Healdsburg, Windsor, Cloverdale just opened up 2 dedicated courts, and Healdsburg and Windsor have they have money being put together right now to build their courts.
So there's a potential branding opportunity here. We call it 101 Pickleball.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
That's mine, by the way.
There we go.
All right. So if I've never played, what do I need to know?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you'd kind of like to know the court layout and some of the rules.
Okay.
And a good place to find that out would be to go to the usapickleball.org website. It's got a wealth of information there. There's good videos on how to play the game from beginners to intermediate. It has the rules of the game, and so it'll get you going on what it is.
Okay.
The other thing is that you'll need a paddle and a ball, and should just go out and hit the ball with either a partner or against the wall just to get the feel for how the ball comes off the paddle. And so when you walk out on a court, you'll be at least have a familiarity with how it works. The other thing is just go out to the park when people are there. pickleball people are the nicest people. And for the most part, if they don't have a set group going on, which occasionally happens, if you say you're a beginner or you've just started playing the game, they'll bring you in, show you the game, and play a game with you.
Are there times for like the Petaluma Pickleball group, right, that a newbie could come out? I don't have a paddle.
Yeah.
I just have my tennis shoes on.
We have myself and a group of us actually have set up 3 sessions a month. And this is done through the Parks and Rec. You can go to the Parks and Rec website and sign up for a beginner clinic. They're perfectly free. And we have volunteers like myself go out there and we'll show you the game of pickleball. Supply the paddles and balls if you don't have it, and get you started.
Okay. So how do if I want to get started, I mean, besides going to the city, right? I mean, I could just show up to a Lucchese. I mean, that's probably not advised.
It's at certain times. If you were to go there on a weekend when it's crowded, probably not the best time.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, you could still wander out there and observe,
right,
and let people know that you're a beginner and you'd like to, learn about the game. And probably later in the afternoon, in the day, around noon or thereabouts, people start, going to lunch and going home. But there's usually a number of people that stick around, and they would be more than happy to show you the game.
Okay. So I brought a ball out, and you brought a ball out.
I did.
They're clearly, besides different color, but so what's the difference between the two of these?
Yeah, there's a few manufacturers of pickleballs. The one you're holding is called an Onyx, and it's a little softer. I'd recommend it, actually, for beginning players. It's a very good ball. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't come off your paddle as fast or as hard. It's a little easier to control, where your trajectory is. The Core or the Durafast 40s or the Franklins are the 3 manufacturers of, there's other ones, but those are the 3 basic ones that you'll find in tournaments. They're a little harder type plastic. You can see that the holes are slightly smaller. It bounces a little harder. It's a little faster ball, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the paddles.
There's a variety of paddles out there, and they all have their different characteristics. Paddle Tech makes a very good line of paddles of different types and shapes. The Kinetic, which is the one that I use, is the Pro Kinix. And I've got you can probably see that it's a little narrower. So the core is different. And the reason I went to this is that it has some technology in it that provides shock absorption. So my elbow was bothering me a few years ago. So I tried a different couple of things, but I found this, and it seems to really work for me. And it still has good pop, punch when you need it, and it has some pretty good touch, if we call it touch, when you're dinking the ball just gently over the net, trying to keep it so that your opponent can't attack it. These are excellent for that too. The bigger core will also provide some shock absorption to you. And then Selkirk is another manufacturer that's a good popular brand.
Okay. If people out there have questions, like they've heard what you've had to say, they've taken a look, but they want to contact you or somebody from Petaluma Pickleball.
Sure.
How do they do that?
We have an official ambassador to pickleball here in Petaluma.
Uh-oh.
Yes. And her name is Lisa Nussdorfer, Nussdorfer. And her phone number is 707-758-2337. And if you join the Facebook page, she posts a lot. She's great. I mean, she's established the Facebook page. She runs it. She, goes and liaisons with the city, on our needs and so forth. I help out with that as well. But we've partnered up, and I supported her when she wanted to become an ambassador, and she's doing a great job.
Fantastic. Let me ask you this: fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're trying to find ways around town to help out the 501c3s. Would pickleball, a tournament, be a possibility?
With 4 courts, it's a little tough to hold a tournament per se. we've held the senior games for a number of 7, 8 years now. Started in Windsor. It's been held in Finley Park because we could create 8 courts at Finley over the past 6 years. And then this last year we held, because of Rohnert Park having the ability to have 12 courts.
Right.
That's where it was held this last year. So that's been very good for the what's the Council on Aging, supports that and fundraises for it. But we just had our first tournament actually up in Santa Rosa at Finley, which was a for-all tournament, all ages and so forth. And that made some money. I'm not sure where it all went, but it was a sanctioned tournament, meaning that you had to be a member of USA Pickleball to play in it. That's what sanctioning does. So yeah, there is definitely a possibility of fundraising, maybe for small groups, introductory things, but to hold a real tournament with 4 courts is difficult.
Yeah, I get it. Well, listen, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming by.
You're welcome, Alan.
Great.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Live Explore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.